Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Now this year, Basotho are commemorating the founding of their nation. It's a milestone in the legacy of the Basotho founding father, that's King Moshoeshoe. Delving into their historical journey, let's explore now the profound influence of the SeSotho language on the Lozi minority ethnic group in Zambia and Tanzania. For this discussion, let's bring in Mahlomola Letsie, a distinguished antiquarian from Lesotho, who joins us now via our video link. Great to have you on the program, sir. Thanks very much indeed for making time. I wonder if we can begin with just some historical context here, perhaps the pivotal events that shaped the Basotho nation over the past 200 years.
Good morning, Ayanda, and thanks for the opportunity. And I'd like to greet everybody watching us everywhere across the globe.
Sure, please go ahead.
Can you? Yes.
Yep, if you can hear us, the question I'd asked is if you can take us through perhaps some of the main events that has brought us to this point over the last 200 years, at least insofar as the Basotho's own development is concerned.
Okay, I think the pivotal point that we can distinguish is the fortification of fortresses back then when people were up in arms against each other because of the Fatkan or Mfekan wars that took place around 1816 up until 1820. It was during that time that King Moshoeshoe moved from where he was staying in Menkwaneng to Botabote. When he was Botabote, then he forged alliance with another chief that was Chief Letole, and from there they were attacked, and he realized that the fortress was not quite adequate for him. Then he moved from Botabote, that was in 1824, July 1824, after 3 months siege by Queen Mantatis of Batokwa. So the migration happened in July 1824. That set what we can now say is a 200 years of migration from Botabote to Tababusibu. It was in Tababusibu where he was never defeated in any battle that came across him or his nation.
Right, and it comes as no surprise then that he occupies such an important role in how people identify in Lesotho, how Basotho people even relate to their own culture. How would you say, though, that his own vision has continued to influence Basotho today?
I think he was more of a par excellence diplomat, because one of the things that maybe I didn't mention was that when he forged his first alliance or his first friendship was with Chief Letole of Mahlomola. The same Chief Letole was murdered by Chief Sepeja of Matebele. And he used the same Chief Sepeja of Matebele to escape from the wrath of Queen Mantatis. And from there, he has forged many alliances. And from there, he was one of the people that banned the use of modern alcohol or spirits, as we call it. He was one of the first people that wore the European clothes after Barents of the Khoi. He was the first one in Southern Africa. And he also he abolished the witchcraft practice, banned that and said nobody should ever be tried for witchcraft. And there are so many things that he advocated for. And he even, unlike many nations, he was the one that said to the white missionaries, please come to my land. And they said, at what price? They said 100 oxen. He purchased the missionaries to come to the land and teach his own people the modern ways.
Fascinating. You know, history, well, on the continent, I think our history is characterized by migration forever, you know. People have always moved around, and sometimes that manifests in the language. can you help us connect the dots between the SeSotho language as well as the language of the Lozi people in places like Zambia and Tanzania?
That's very interesting because people tend to classify the language as the Lozi people. You know, the Lozi people came about in 1864, whereas in July 1823, Chief Sebetwane of Badza, or the son of Badza, he was from Bafokeng lineage, left a place that was called Ditapong. It's now in Val region, near Gauteng. He moved from there with his own Basotho people to, initially he went to Namibia. Then from Namibia he went to Botswana, and Botswana, that's where he saved Chief Sechile, and that was when the place Molepolole came about in Botswana, because he was the one who saved Chief Sechile, who was caught doing some adultery stuff. So from Botswana, he went to now the place that is in between Zambia and Zimbabwe. It was the same place that the missionary David Livingstone was invited by him, Chief Sebetwane, to go and witness that waterfall. Then Livingstone later called that place Victoria Falls. It was initially Musua Tunya. As we know it even today, it's called Musua Tunya. And from there, unfortunately, he died in 1851. After he died, he left his children, Matipan, who was the girl, and Dad, who was the boy. They fight over the chieftainship of Chief Sebetwane. That in itself caused what we could call a civil war there. And in 1864, that's when the Lubiana people from Angola came, and the interrelationship between the Lubiana and his people formed a new nation that is now called Silozi. So that's how the language came about.
Sure.
It was not there from the years.
Right. And we've come to learn that, in most parts of the continent, if there is any kind of overlap, it's because there was probably a lot of movement, sometimes conquering of a people, with the conflict sometimes featuring very prominently. But I introduced you as an antiquarian, and I don't want to take it for granted that people know what that means. So perhaps we can take a couple of steps back. You can define for us the work you do, and perhaps as you do that, you can speak to us about the artifacts or historical evidence that you feel speak to the unique journey of the Basotho people.
Okay, antiquarian is quite different from historian. Historian would narrate history as it was, but at the same time, give his own outlook, his own perspective, like say, more like a political analyst. Political analyst would narrate what is happening perhaps in the public domain, but at the same time said, as a political analyst, this is my own perspective regarding this particular issue. But when you talk about antiquarian, you talk of somebody who would narrate as it is, as raw as it is, irrespective. There is no what I'll say sugarcoating, or try to say, let me put a certain perspective. So coming to the artifacts. It's quite interesting what I'm wearing now. We are celebrating 200 years, right? But this hat is only 60 years old because it was introduced around 1930. It wasn't there before. But interestingly, it has got inspiration from Iloan, a mountain that is at a very close proximity to the national fortress or national citadel of Tababusi.
Right, and we have come to recognize the Basotho people through that hat. So it's very interesting that you mentioned that it only emerged over the past 60 years. But a constant with culture,
yes,
as we all know, is that it is ever evolving, and it's very interesting to see what people take up and what they drop in that journey?
Absolutely, because it has evolved. As you can see, it was initially done using only the grass and some wood, some small portion. But now it's involved a lot of colors. And the other aspect is blanket. Blanket was only introduced around in 1860 to the Basotho nation, where they used to wear the karus, and so now they're wearing this modern blankets. And now the blanket and the head are now quite synonymous with with Basotho, and we call Basotho Dodad. And the other thing that I'd like to talk about, just a minute, is the ongoing what one would say is a tourism pilgrimage of the work that was previously worked by King Moshoeshoe, the famous Moshoeshoe walk. The Moshoeshoe walk began in 2007 with only 40 people. Actually, the owner or the trailblazer of the walk, Honorable Thabo Maretlan, actually took the burden from the King Moshoeshoe tomb. King Moshoeshoe, the father of King Letsie, was the one who founded this around 1980 when Honorable Maretlan was just a student. So he has taken that, and we can proudly say it has now gained the global recognition of people from China, people from Vietnam, people from Namibia, people from all over are taking part in that. And it's one of those things that we can say is more of a social cohesion among the Africans, among the Europeans, just to bring people together as something that to rubber stamp or buttress the what do you say it was or is what King Moshoeshoe was famous for, what he stood for, what he was advocating for.
Sure. All very interesting indeed. Mahlomola Letsie, we appreciate your time and your insights. Great history lesson this Friday morning. Thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. Mahlomola is a distinguished antiquarian from Lesotho.